My name is Jeff Wedgwood. It is May 2009, and I will begin teaching a class in origami in June. I will post videos on YouTube for my students and also for anyone else who might share my interest in origami. In this video, I will begin with an overview of origami, introducing some of the vocabulary used in the books and instructions you can find, and end up by demonstrating some very basic folds. My origami videos will be slow on purpose so that my students can take notes or follow the folds along with me. My classes will progress at a rate determined by the students, and I will begin slowly, but hope that we get to some complex fold and some interesting objects in the end. According to Robert J. Lang in his book, The Complete Book of Origami, origami is the art of folding uncut sheets of paper into decorative objects. You might notice that this kind of origami is sometimes called genuine origami. The important point is that you only fold the paper. You do not cut it, paste it, glue it, staple it, or add anything else to it. Although I must admit, if I have an object I want to display, I do add a little bit of glue to hold thick folds closed. Origami objects usually start out as thin, square pieces of paper, which are colored on one side and white on the other. Sometimes the color can have a pattern in it, and sometimes you can have pieces of paper with color on both sides. You can also purchase foil-backed paper or pieces of plastic to fold into glossy, shiny origami objects. The paper commonly available on Amazon.com and at most bookstores is available in 6 inches or 9 inches. Sometimes it's available in smaller or larger sizes. Some professional origami folders will begin with a piece of paper which is absolutely enormous, so that they can end up with a sizable object to put on display. First, what is a fold? The Little Oxford English Dictionary defines a fold as a verb to bend something over on itself, so one part of it covers another, or to be able to be folded into a flattened shape, or a noun, a folded part, which in origami is sometimes called a flap, or a line or crease produced by folding. There are several important points here. Origami is often folded into a flattened shape, although there are more instructions now for three-dimensional objects. Second, a short crease called a pinch or a long crease from the edge to edge of the paper are often used to tell you where to make a fold in the future. What is a valley fold and how do you make it? A valley fold is created when you take a piece of paper and fold one part over another. The top and bring it up over the bottom, or the bottom and bring it over the top. Let me demonstrate a fold here. I'll do this from side to side. If you look at the fold, it looks somewhat like a valley. Now, what is a mountain fold and how do you do that? A mountain fold is created when you take a piece of paper and fold it under another piece, towards you from top to bottom, or away from you from bottom to top. Now let me go ahead and make one of these folds. And when you look at the result, you notice that it looks somewhat like a mountain. Now, you may have noticed that if you take a piece of paper and turn it over and make a valley fold, and then turn it back, the result is a mountain fold. Many people prefer to make mountain folds this way. I certainly do, because it's easier for me to line up the edges of the paper far more precisely, like this. There. There is a style of origami called pureland. It is when the only folds that are used are mountain folds or valley folds. You can remember this because obviously the land that we live on is made up of mountains and valleys. If you do an internet search for origami pureland diagram instructions, you will find a multitude of diagrams and instructions that you can try out that you know won't be too difficult to fold. When you find books, instructions, or diagrams to make an origami object, you'll notice that there are standardized notations and symbols to tell you how to create the object. First, you'll notice that in the upper leftmost part of the diagram is a square demonstrating how you should place the piece of paper before you begin. It will show either a white square or a colored square to tell you which side of the paper is visible, and it will be either oriented as a horizontally oriented square or a diagonally oriented diamond shape. You will then see a series of squares or folded objects representing the paper at each step along the way. Each image may have lines or other symbols on it, and the lines vary in thickness and length and may be made up of dashes and dots, or just dots. These indicate the types of folds and the location on the piece of paper. You may also see arrows and other symbols to tell you what to do. These standardized symbols make it easier for someone to make an origami object even though they do not speak the language of the one who wrote the instructions. Looking closer at the diagram, you'll notice that each image will have some lines across the paper. Within the diagrams, the paper edges are indicated by thick solid lines, creases are indicated by thin solid lines, valley folds are indicated by dashed lines, mountain folds by dashed dot lines, and guidelines or hidden lines are indicated by dotted lines. You can also find other common instruction symbols, such as arrows of different sizes and shapes, indicating specific actions that you should take. You can find other symbols, such as parentheses, that indicate that you should repeat those steps on another layer, or angles, or specific types of folds, or folding to a point. Now let's look at a simple origami diagram. If you look at figure 1, you will notice a colored square in the upper left-hand corner with the labels A, B, and C on it. This tells you to begin with the colored side up and the corners along the horizontal. A is the outer edge and is a thick solid line. B is a dashed line indicating that you should make a valley fold there. And C is a dashed dot line indicating that you should make a mountain fold there. In the lower right corner, you will see the result with the paper rotated slightly. A is the edge as before. B is now at the bottom of the valley fold and extends under the colored part of the paper to B star, indicated by the dotted line telling you that this is hidden. C is now at the top of the mountain fold. Although I'm sure you feel that we've only just barely started, I'm going to stop there for today. Next time we'll fold some objects and have a little bit more fun. See you then.